I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. We are all made with light.
Woohoo! There we are. Welcome,
Awesome.
everybody. Welcome, everybody. This is exciting for all of us to be here tonight, and I hope you like the new little intro. We're trying some new things going on here, and as a matter of fact, as we're looking at everything, I'm taking a look at Miss Hope Flansburg. She is our guest tonight. So excited about this, and we're going to be talking about her book, Angel Kisses. Oh my gosh, if I can get it up here on time. There we are. There we go. If I've done this wrong, you'll let me know, right? Here we go. Add the banner. Ding. Maybe show. There we go.
There it
Nope.
is.
Look. Flansburg. How about I try that again? That's how we go. Hold up that book loud and proud.
We got the book loud and proud.
Yes. Excellent. And when did it come out? When did you put that out there?
February. And February 13th. It all blended together with all the craziness going on in my life. So I know it was the Saturday before Valentine's Day. I think that was the 13th.
Yes, you are right.
February 13th. Yes.
You are absolutely right. Well, everyone, welcome tonight to the Beacon of Light podcast. And we are so excited to have Hope here. Hope is in the house. And Hope, where are you broadcasting from this evening?
So I am broadcasting from Pinedale, Wyoming. So this is our temporary home. We're staying at a family home temporarily as we build our forever home in Big Fork, Montana. Hopefully breaking ground in the next couple months.
Oh yeah, everyone send some good prayers and karma and energy towards that, because there's, permits that have to happen and all that kind of thing. So hope that can go forward, because that forever home is not just a forever home. It's also going to be blessing the lives of many, many people. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I am a wellness and self-care educator. Hi, Pam. It's nice seeing you. Wellness and self-care educator. And prior to our move, I was holding wellness events, retreats, workshops, in person at my home in Pine, Colorado. And then COVID hits and everything was kind of put on hold. So what I do is I love community and collaboration. I teach others, educate others about the impacts of stress on our emotional, physical health, and how it impacts how we show up in the world for ourselves and others, which hence our relationships, which are a really huge component of our life. Everybody craves connection, and our emotional and physical health impacts that. So in-person events put on hold with COVID. My husband and I decided to buy a property, and I will be holding those in-person events once we are built. And we're making it a little bit of a Airbnb VRBO option for people to come and stay, family reunions, small gatherings. I saw a post the other day online. People were looking for a place to hold a baby shower. And I was like, oh, if we were only up and running. So our home, but a little bit of kind of an event getaway destination place as well.
Beautiful, and a beautiful place to go to. Montana is awesome. It's a good kept secret. Well, not anymore. You just spilled the beans, girl.
No, I just spilled the beans.
Well.
Yeah.
So, Hope, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And just like her name, and just like the books that we talk about, we try to show about hope. And if you saw on the description tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about how grief and how hope, how love, how things can really work through, all based on her fictional book called Angel Kisses. And so this there it is. Beautiful, beautiful. This book, I've been going through it and reading it. And what I've been enjoying is that I just kind of go back and go forth and just take my time with it, because I know what it's about, and I'm easing into it. I have to say for myself, but I think other people are probably like, whew. So it just kind of depends, but we're really excited about this opportunity for Hope to share about this book. So it launched in February. So why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about the part of the story that you would like people to kind of get like, wow, I want to know more about that. Share a character or share maybe a scene, something like that.
So I think what I need to do first is share the method of my madness as to why I write the books I do. Because most people hear fiction romance novels and they think, oh, you know, story of boy meets girl, sparks fly, conflict tears them apart, there's a misunderstanding, and then a passionate reunion brings them together at the end. Mine are very, very different. I call them fiction romance novels with a twist, because what I do is I really try to use authentic and relatable characters to bring a voice to those scenarios that break us. We all have those things that happen to us in our world, call it trauma, grief, loss, you know, just those moments in our life that change and shift the perception of how we see the world. And sometimes when this happens, it takes us into the darkness. So what I do is I use my characters and messages within the book to shed light on complex topics. So, like I said, it really shows the impact it has not only on our romantic relationships, but our relationship with ourselves, our family, our friends, as well as a higher power, whatever that looks like for you, but our spiritual relationship. So I would say this book has a main theme, which is grief and loss, focused around death, kind of a second chance romance book. But underneath are these kind of sub stories. You know, we are all multidimensional not multidimensional characters, but we're all multidimensional people. We have colorful lives and a variety of experiences that shape us into who we are, how we show up in the world, how we behave, how we react, whether it's trauma responses or what that looks like. So underneath the main storyline are some, I don't know, what would you call them, April? Kind of just sub themes that go along with it. So
I agree. I think that sub theme idea is really important because, like you said, when people say, what's your platform? Who are you? You're like, sit down, because I can't give it to you in 10 seconds because it is multi-layered and dimensional. So I think that that brings the honesty of the character. And that's why, like I shared at the beginning, I have to ease into it because I'm like, oh, match there. Whoa. Oh, that was, So, and that's just my own self. So it's really, really awesome. And Miss Sandra, she's amazing. She's like,
hi, Sandra. Subplots. I like that. Subplots. I need to figure out my word. I haven't figured out my word for that. So the subplots in Angel Kisses, we have domestic violence. We have substance abuse. We have just kind of those complicated codependent relationships that happen with family and relationships in our world. And then, of course, the romance behind it. There's also some mental health issues that are encompassed in here as well. I like to bring social emotional awareness through the stories of my book, especially around the topic of trauma. You know, whether we all have something in our lives, whether it was a little trauma, big trauma, a mixture of both. I have a mixture of both in my world. We all have things, like I said, that shift kind of how we see the world, and our trauma responses from that. The more we know, the more we understand, we can look at people instead of saying, what's wrong with you? We can look at people and say, what happened to you? And we have, from there can come more compassion and understanding and empathy in our relationships and dealing with the people that we love.
Excellent. That concept is big. And so in writing this, do you have somebody in mind, maybe somebody that you have seen go through it, maybe portions of your own life that you feed into your characters? How do you develop these?
You know, the storyline is completely fiction. But in working with women and family, I've worked with youth and family at risk for many, many years. I used to investigate crimes against children. And then just in my own business of working and connecting with women, I have 4 daughters, and my own experiences. even though our stories aren't the same, we all have our own experiences. What I'm hearing underneath the underlying emotions, trauma responses, behaviors, reactions, kind of what we all go through emotionally and internally, I'm finding a lot of similarities with. And so, like I said, the stories are completely fiction, made up, characters are completely fiction, but just understanding, I guess, the social emotional component of it from my own experience and talking to other people, that's kind of where I pull that in.
Excellent. In pulling
Yeah.
all of those pieces in, like as I'm reading through, I'm looking at her boys, from the main character, from the mom, and just kind of seeing within my own self and my own life. Like I said, I connect with a few of those pieces, thinking, oh wow, that character has a lot of similarities to my oldest son. So I am enjoying the reading. At the same time, I'm like, and I have to put that right there for just a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay. It's a novel. It's okay.
It
I don't
is,
have,
but
you're not going to give me a quiz, right? Afterwards, like, we're okay.
But it can be tough. And that's with my first novel when it came out, piece by piece. The reading can be a little tough. There are some triggering elements that can be in there, but also the redemption and the hope and the healing and watching these characters go through the process of this, as we've gone through ours. I'm a firm believer this journey's never over. Once you kind of start down the path, you're always on it. And I even still, I'll read things where I'll feel the emotion and get the trigger, and I'm like, oh, that's an area I might need to work on a little bit. That might be an area that still needs some healing for me. So I do realize my books can can be a little bit that way, but the feedback I'm getting from my readers is I've had readers call me and say, I read your book and I'm ready to call a therapist. I'm ready to take the first steps that I need to do to heal whatever XYZ was for me. Or like you said, April, oh my gosh, I saw myself all peppered all over that book. Sorry, I use my hands a lot too, just in a different way. But yeah, they'll say and that's what I really want to get across is sometimes when we're in the darkness, it can really feel like we're alone. And I want women to know, women and men, I mean, there's aspects of men in these books too, that is incredibly relatable. So for men out there listening, if you don't want to pick up a fiction romance book, understand that this goes a little bit deeper. If you're in relationship with anybody in your world, this will just, the messages can be really powerful as far as, working on whatever it is that we're wanting to work on, so that we can have those really good connections with the people that we love, because we all deserve it.
We do. And that relatable character, the authenticity of all of that is something really a joy to read. And I will say, sometimes we focus in on a lot of the self-help books, right? Yeah. I've experienced a trauma and I'm going to read this self-help book so that I can get better. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we close ourselves off to the fiction. And really, if you think about it, when we dive into fiction, it's a very safe place in the sense of we can see the things and the characters and the relationships, or the antagonist and the protagonist, right? And we can love and hate them, but it's very safe to do because they're not injuring us, right? And so we don't have to say, well, that was from a real story. That was, it's fake. It's okay. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it any less real. Like you said, somebody read your fiction book and now wants to do therapy. Mm-hmm. Hello. Like that probably improved that person's life more than what a self-help book could actually do. So I'm there to support on both of that ideas, that hope can be found in whatever it is that we write. And I think that, this message, thank you, Tracy, it is an amazing message. And that's the idea. So when you can have that freedom, I mean, really think about it. I usually pull this out of the hat all the time, right? Harry Potter. Hello, Wizarding World. Like, we don't have a world like that, but we suckered in. We suckered in. We do want that world, but why did we read it? We wanted to know the relationships. We wanted to know the connections. We wanted to know, is he going to finally get the bad guy? Because in our life, we need triumph. we need to know that there's ultimate hope out there. We need to know if we've been brought down into the bottom of despair, the story doesn't shut and say, the end. No,
Right.
like we've got to know through. And so that's why I really appreciate amazing fictional writers, because they pull us in, dip us deep, and bring us out even shinier than we could ever have felt before. So thank you for being one of those amazing writers, Hope.
Well, thank you, April. And those words are, oh my gosh, you just touched my heart in so many ways. And, you know, I think that's just it is, I've had people tell me, you know, it's self-help in disguise of a fiction novel. I've had other people say, you know what, I had my sister or my brother or my mother or my daughter's friend at school going through this. I had no idea that this was the impact it was having on them. And that's what I want is I just, you know, the more we can understand, the more we know, the more we educate ourselves, the more connection we can have with other people and the greater impact we're going to have on society around some of these really hard things that everybody has hard stuff. Nobody is immune to it.
That's right. And thank you for being brave and daring and creating a world in the different pieces of your book for us to be able to understand, empathize, shine forward, hate, and then love.
You know, it's funny you say that.
Understand.
I had, when I first let people read a book I wrote many, many years ago in 2010, a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, she said, I really hated your characters. And I said, that was my point, because there's so many times we as human beings go through such our own self-loathing phase. So, you know, and the goal was to show my characters in that self-loathing phase and then coming out of it and finding that freedom and seeing what life looked like for them when they came out of it. But how many of us are willing to admit when we're in that phase? So that's where I started using the case character. So when my friend said that, I was like, oh, great, I did my job. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So
excellent.
Yeah.
All of those things really bring to pass, you know, this whole concept and hope and light and everything like that. So if, without giving away too much of the story, do you want to share with us a little bit about maybe a scene or some, what can you share without, you know, maybe giving it all away? Or one of your favorite scenes or something, I don't know.
I think what I love about this book is the magic in the story. I'm an incredibly spiritual person. I'm a Christian. My relationship with God is my number one. It's what drives me in this life. And so, although I don't consider these Christian novels, there is a component of faith, spirituality in them. And in this book, I don't know if you would call it suspense as much as magic and maybe mystery around the magic of who's guiding, who's sending the messages, who is the power behind the whole family as they're going through their own individual healing processes. Oh gosh, I don't even know what else. That I love about this book. Also, the relationship between the main character and a potential love interest. They both had grief and loss that came in two completely different forms. And it really shows that one is not grief and loss. I mean, it's not a competition. It's not a comparison, and how it affects us and how it impacts our life, even though it may look different, the similarities between it as well. And finding that compassion for other people when they are going through theirs. So that was a big one too. Oh gosh, there's just so many. I wrote this book 14 years ago, and I've revamped it so many times. And this last time I revamped it, I really wanted to go a little bit deeper into my main character, Desiree, into her history, and I wanted to show those layers of trauma that she had that now also plays a role in how she's dealing with the trauma, the main trauma in this story.
Yeah. I love the part where she drives up to, just at the beginning where she drives up, she's ready and she's dressed and she's just sitting in the car.
Yeah.
And there's that moment of like, I'm good. I think we technically arrived.
Mm-hmm.
No one said I actually had to get out of the car. that idea of like, and I'm here. So you did it, and we can go now.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has that struggle within herself. Open the door, close the door, open the close. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And then she sees from afar, like, I've got big girl panty time, and I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And that's real strength. When people ask you questions like, how do you do what you do? You're like, have you seen my big girl panties? I mean, they're right here on all the time. I have to put it on. I have to keep things going. And at the end of the day, I am authentic to myself. But crap had to get done, right? It had to get done. And so you're like, yep, it's true.
And she's got 2 young kids. She has to show up for them.
She does.
Yeah.
Because it would be a luxury to just hide. You don't have that.
Oh, yeah. Can I read? Let me see if I can find it. Because this is kind of my favorite. I have to talk about the big girl panties, though, because in raising my kids, one of the things that I told them, I said, there is a fine balance that we as parents have to teach you. And that is one, yes, have your emotions, validate your emotions, sit with your emotions, move through them. But at the end of the day, you have to pull on those big girl panties and show up. You still have to participate and be a functioning human being in this world. You got to do it. And I remember having that conversation with my kids so many times. So it's funny that you said that.
Well, it's true. While you're looking for that, I remember when we were preparing for your book launch, and again, up in Wyoming, up really high, so a lot of snow is happening. Mm-hmm. And she's talking about the snow, and I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. I would love to be there with the snow. And she's like, really? I've had to shovel it like 900 times. And in fact, I'm ready to go out there again. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So the big girl panties had to go up. Otherwise, let's see. Oh, you're not getting into the house. No fuel's coming into the house. No food's coming into the house. So dang it all. At the end of the day, after you put down your hot cocoa, you got to plow it out.
And let me tell you, my arms were so sore. I mean, I did end up giving in. I ended up going to Nebraska after the book launch for 4 weeks to give myself a break because I was tired. But, you got to show up. So I found it. So my main character, Desiree, finds herself suddenly a single mom after a very, very tragic accident. And so this is one of my favorite parts because even though this wasn't my experience, I went through a pretty tough divorce 21 years ago. And I remember having these emotions when I was going through some of my darkest times. So Desiree says, sometimes she still thought it would be easier to give up than go on living like she was. Her children always pulled her back, reviving her from the suffocation of her loss. It would be selfish to allow them to lose both parents. And she was not selfish. She would see to it that they had a healthy childhood, regardless of the circumstances surrounding them. No matter what, she would make sure she did her best with what she had left in her. Yet somehow she seemed to crash and burn every time she attempted to reclaim her life. She often wondered how much longer it would be until her kids realized what she was giving them was a bleak, vast void of emotionless love. And I remember feeling that at different times, through on my journey. But also when I wrote that, I thought, I know there's so many other women out there who, when they're going through depression, when they're having really those deep struggles with anxiety, or they're grieving, or they're recovering from trauma, you show up and you're there, and your body's there, but you're almost like a body just going through the emotions. It's like that vast void of emotionless love. It's not that the love's not there. It's just sometimes it's really hard to feel it and show it.
Yeah, agreed. Now that you guys have heard a little bit about that, how many are going to Amazon to go get this book? Hope, how do they get this book from you?
All right. Do you need me to, I can put it in the that's our chat.
That's our chat.
Put the link up so you can find it on Amazon. Definitely on Amazon, you can find it. Angel Kisses, Hope Flansburg. You can also go to my website if you want a personalized signed copy. They are on sale right now for $15.99. Typically, this book is $21.99. It is a rather thick book. I have piece by piece here, and it is bigger than piece by piece. So I just thought that was, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I wrote so much until I got it in the mail, and I'm like, oh man, this was a bigger story. So it is on sale, signed copy, $15.99 on my website, which is hopeforhealth.me.
Excellent. That is a great thing to segue in, to know where we can find you. You talked about your website on Amazon. Please, please, please go and get. It is amazing, and go through it. Sandra has been testifying of it. Tracy, all these great people are here tonight. And I agree, Sandra, how rewarding it is to know that your book has helped other people. As a writer, that's like, ding, it's like the best. It is awesome. It's a great, great experience to have. So before we kind of close things out, Hope, I would love to give you kind of the last say in what it is that you would like to share with the world. And you have 2 minutes to just share your heart.
I have 2 minutes.
You can share it about the book or anything else that you want.
Oh my gosh. Like I said earlier, I didn't realize when I was writing, I just started writing. And people ask me all the time, where do your stories come from? I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know. I truly, for me, it's a faith thing. I'm not writing the story. I'm the tool. God's using the tool to get the story out through me. But really what I realized is after the books have been published and after I talk to people about the stories behind them, it really is about that social emotional awareness. We discuss all the time topics of trauma, loss, grief, tragedy. But sometimes the impact and the signs and symptoms that it has on us, those are the things that sometimes get ignored. It's really easy for people to feel isolated, alone, stuck, or broke in the darkness. We worry about judgment, and a lot of times we carry shame. And that is a really hard way to participate in relationships with others, in relationship with ourselves. So my hope is that my books can take the stigma out of some of the scenarios that many people experience, but are maybe not always talking about, because this is where I feel personal growth and healing truly can begin. And when we can find this empathy and compassion for ourselves, it's going to grow, it's going to spread to others, it's going to have a bigger impact on society. It's going to be huge. So that's, I hope, the message that came to me tonight. I'm sure there's more, but that's the one that came to me tonight.
Beautiful. And just like you said, as it stretches out and reaches towards others, that's why we have the Beacon of Light podcast, because it is to reach out to all of you, and any story that has hope within it will get to you. So thank you so much, Hope. That was beautiful. Everyone says that's the best. So true. Hope's book extends hopes to readers. Awesome. Way to go. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. This is excellent. And, thank you kindly for sharing with us this evening. Oh, gratitude journals. Those are awesome.
Oh,
those are awesome.
I'm a journaler. I love it. So April, but I want to thank you, because you and your podcast and everything that you do to share your messages, your talent, creativity, the way that you do. So I'm just honored that you had me on, and we're connecting and working together. I always say, out of our darkest times come our greatest achievements. And April, you are a bright light of courage and love for all of us.
Thank you so much, Hope. You were so sweet to say. And on that note, we'll call it an evening. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.